Okay, so welcome everybody to our first info session of P18 Gen 13. I'm here with Carol Ramos and we'll be talking to you a little bit more about P18, our next generation. Um, just an FYI, we are recording this session and we'll be publishing it later on our social media. So you can rewatch it or send it to your friends, your family, your mentors, your investors, or anybody that you know that will be interested in participating in the program. So let's start. We're gonna start talking a little bit about what Parallel 18 is. So Parallel 18 is an entrepreneur center that offers startup founders from Puerto Rico and all over the world access to high quality business training. We offer grants specifically in this program. We offer mentorships, connections, investment opportunities, but the main focus is to help all the founders to scale globally and get to that next level. Really important to mention that Parallel Team is part of the Puerto Rico Science, Technology, and Research Trust, which is a private nonprofit organization created with the goal of maximizing Puerto Rico participation in the creation of jobs, but positioning also Puerto Rico as a unique innovation hub for businesses, not necessarily completely focused on technology, but most importantly, innovative businesses. So again, I'm Natasha Martinez. I'm the program manager at Parallel 18. I manage specifically P18 and Pre-18. And I'm here today with Carol Ramos, which is our marketing and communications manager. Menchu Agüeros is also on the call. She will be answering any questions that you may have on the chat. So feel free to put your inquiries or your questions in there and we'll be happy to answer them. So P18 is our acceleration program, our international acceleration program that welcomes companies from all over the world to help them scale to global markets. So we offer $40,000 as a grant, as you know. This year we'll be selecting up to 20 companies. And this program is focused completely on structuring your companies in order to help you reach new markets, new investments if you're on that stage, and most of all, like get to the next level. This program is 20 weeks long and we'll get into more detail in a few seconds. Carol, take it away.
Hmm? So, sorry. Are you ready to become a P18er? What will be provided for you as a Gen 13 P18 startup? We talked about the 40,000 equity-free grant. You will also have a 600 plus network of active investors. You will have connections to multinationals, amazing mentors, and an on-hands team, and up more than $500,000 value from perks offered by related partners. What will be provided for you as a P18 startup? You will have a community beyond borders and cohorts, the chance to scale globally, and a local entrepreneurial ecosystem. So I also want to talk to you about two of our programs, Parallel Ventures and Parallel 18 Connect. Parallel 18 Ventures is our sub-program focused on preparing startups for investment. The program has two funds, the Matching Fund and the Business Continuity Fund. We also have BCAP that supports early to growth stage companies through equity investment matching to drive economic impact in Puerto Rico. The Parallel 18 Connect program is our corporate innovation program that fosters relationships between corporations and startups to promote innovation. Its mission is to facilitate opportunities for startups to connect with influential businesses or business leaders in Puerto Rico with the ultimate goal of fostering collaborations and strategic partnerships. So what do we ask from you? Innovative, your startup should be innovative in early stage status with 3 years of operation or less. A solid traction record with sales or users that are willing to pay for your product. You have to move to Puerto Rico for 5 months, get involved with Puerto Rico's startup and business ecosystem, and the scalability. Companies have to have a product that can be easily adaptable to other markets. Also, having a plan for your performance in Puerto Rico. This includes hiring, acquiring customers, among other things. And finally, at least 2 full-time founders should be working on the company. So why doing business in Puerto Rico? So we have a strategic location. It's a gateway to both US and Latin American markets with bilingual talent and US jurisdiction advantages. It's a rich cultural experience. It's the work hard, play tropical lifestyle. Puerto Rico has warm weather all year round and a vibrant community. It's a growing talent pool. There's skilled workforce in tech, finance, and creative industries, plus ties to local universities and a collaborative ecosystem. We have a tight-knit startup culture with resources, networking events, and opportunities for partnerships. I'm going to turn it back to Natasha so that she can talk to you about the application and evaluation process.
Perfect. So the evaluation and application process changed a little bit this year. So I'm gonna go a lot into detail to explain you all. But first of all, I'd like to talk about the timeline. So as you know, you have until April 25th to submit your initial form application. This year we have 2 different forms that you should fill out. But the first one, which is the one that will get you in the pipeline to apply and participate in the program, is that initial form, which is already available. So you have until April 25th. That's a Friday. Then later on, if you qualify with all the requirements that we have for the program, we will send you a follow-up application, and that deadline is on May 7th. After that, we will start the internal evaluation process, which includes evaluation and judging, includes a selection committee, and then a process of interviews. Important to mention that not everybody is going to have an interview process. We do the interviews just for the companies that will have a very specific question or a doubt about the application. So I wanted to make it clear that not everybody goes through that interview process, but they do follow up all the evaluation and judges process as well. These selected companies will be announced on the first week of June, and then the program will start on July 7th. So that is the second week of July. So you will have the selected companies will have more than 1 month to prepare for that program. Okay, so to go a little bit more into detail about the application, the initial form only has 24 questions, and I promise you that you will not, it will not take more than 5 minutes to complete it. It's basic information, and it will validate with us if you comply with the requirements for the program in order to then send you that second form with more detailed questions. So that second form includes questions very specific about your company, including the solution and innovation. So you will be able to explain in depth about your solution, if you have intellectual property, and very specific questions about your product or service. Then we'll ask a lot more about metrics and tractions. As Carol mentioned, this is one of the requirements, but we're not asking for a specific traction this time because we understand that every company has a different definition of traction. So as long as you can provide any evidence that you're growing and that you have any traction, and that could be sales, that could be any kind of growth, then you'll probably qualify. After that, we will ask about your fundraising experience, about the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem or the innovation ecosystem, and your commitment to Puerto Rico, and why do you think you're ready to come to the island and take advantage of what we have here to offer. Then we'll ask additional team information, basically to get to know a little bit more about you as a team leader and the team members that are going to be participating in the program. Then we'll ask a video pitch. As you know, and if you have seen our applications from last year's, we always ask a video pitch. It's a short video pitch. It doesn't have to be that complex. You don't have to have a whole thing going on. It can be from your phone. But just a video pitch to let us know about your company, your growth, why is it strategy to come to the island. And then you also have the opportunity to submit a video demo of your solution. So that way we can understand a little bit more about what you have and what you're proposing and your strategy to grow too. And references. The references are not a requirement, but if you have somebody that is willing to provide you a letter of recommendation and why you should be joining the program, you can definitely submit it too. Important to double mention that this follow-up application will be sent only to the companies that comply with the requirements of the program. Once you submit all that information, then you will go to the evaluation process, which has a selection criteria as always. This hasn't changed from last year, so we will be evaluating product or service, which everything has a 20% value. Then we'll be evaluating your market and positioning, the team composition and your experience, your traction, and then your link to Puerto Rico. So how to access the application form is very simple. You go to parallel18.com. In there, you will see a pink banner that says Learn More, and you should click on there. Also, a little bit down on the website, you can also view more information about the program P18 and the different programs that we have. But if you want to go directly to the application, just go to the Learn More section. After that, you will enter a landing page specifically for P18 Gen 13, which has all the information about our terms and conditions, which is highly recommended that you read before you submit your application. The frequently asked questions, and then you have, if you scroll down, you have the requirements and a lot more detail about this program. And the button that will say apply here. Once you click the apply here, you will be redirected to the uNoodle page, which is the platform that we use for all the applications. And then you should create an account. It's really simple and easy. After that, you will land on this specific page, which has the instructions for the first application round. Once you read everything that you have on screen, you should click next, and it will automatically get you to the 24 questions. Most of them are drop down, so it's really easy to answer. Once you have everything and you see that 100%, it turns green when you hit 100% of the questions. That means that you filled every question that is a requirement to fill. Then you will click submit application, and it will automatically send the applications to us. If you change your mind about, or you need to go and revise any answer, you can do so. You just click on submit and then verify your questions, and you submit the application again, and it will get to us automatically. Important that if you unsubmit your application, it will not get to us unless you click that submit button again. So just as a reminder, you have until Friday, April 25th to submit your first round of applications. This is until 11:59 p.m. and we are on ASC -4, Atlantic Standard Time. So take that into consideration if you're joining from a different country. So April 25th. And now we're open to any specific questions that you may have. So you can go ahead to submit them on the chat and we'll be happy to answer.
I already answered some of them, but
I think I'm gonna read the questions here
for the benefit of
for the benefit of everyone, and then we can go ahead and answer them. Are there any metrics or numbers that you expect company to have hit? So if you saw our application round last year, we were asking for specific metrics. This year, we don't have a specific number. But we will be asking, for example, if you have any KPIs, how do you measure your growth, and then to submit or explain any specific metric about your own traction. As I mentioned, we have noticed throughout the years that traction means something different to every company, depending on their industry, depending on their stage. So as long as you can provide any detail about your growth, that will probably count. So hopefully I answered that question, Oscar. Rafael Nova is asking, if we live outside Puerto Rico, would you help us relocation logistic? Do we have to stay there for the 5 months, or can we travel back and forth? Great question. So the program is in person for the 5 months. The structure basically goes that we have mentor session and KPI weekly meetings that we held here in person in our co-working space. So yes, it is in person for the whole 5 months. But then, as I mentioned earlier, we give around a month and a half for the selected companies to work on that relocation process. We are not able to go into detail or go help you directly with your stay or your location, but we do have a list of recommendations that we can send you in order to help you like get a good place, either an apartment or a home or anything that help you stay with your stay on the island. Let me see. We have another one here.
Application.
For the application, what are some other ways to demonstrate traction for a product that requires FDA pre-market approval and or user testing before it can be sold? For example, with a provisional patent and or user research count, yes, that will definitely count. If you don't have that FDA approval yet, you can submit everything that you have done before that in order to get that FDA approved or to get to that point. So that provisional patent definitely mentioned that detail on the application because that definitely counts. And we are well aware that some processes, specifically in this industry, can take a little bit longer. So you're a great example of why we're not asking for a specific number in terms of growth. Because in your case specifically, it can be a little bit complicated and it could take a little bit more time. So yeah, mention everything that you have done until the day of your submission in order to get to that point exactly. And okay, both of the founders have to be there for the mentorships and events. So the structure of the program requires that you have one team leader, and then you can optionally have up to 2 team members. So you have up to 3 persons that could be participating in the programs, but only the team leader should be the one participating in most of it. So only one of the 3 persons should be on the island for the 20 months. And we can, depending on the situation, it can vary. So the team leader, let me see how I say it simpler. The team leader is responsible in front of the program, but then you can also have the team members participating as well.
Would you explain more about the 20-week curriculum?
Would you explain more about the 20-week curriculum, date and time? So we're asking a commitment for maybe 3-4 hours on a weekly basis to comply with the program. And that time frame basically is to participate in mentor sessions, our weekly KPI meetings, and then highly recommended but not mandatory one-on-one office hours with our pool of mentors. So it shouldn't be more than 4 hours a week. Obviously, you can use the office space, and that this is something that we didn't mention. As you participate in P18, if you're chosen of one of the 20 companies, you will have 24/7 access to our co-working space. So you can come work here anytime that you want, but the commitment of the mandatory session shouldn't be more than 4 hours a week, more or less. If something changes throughout that process, we will definitely let you know beforehand so you can accommodate everything.
Do you have a preference on B2B or marketplaces are so welcome?
Okay, do you have a preference on B2B or marketplaces? We are industry agnostic. That means that we accept and we help companies from any industry. We have seen a little bit of everything. If you go to our website, you will be able to see the different companies that we have helped in the past. And we have had, again, a little bit of everything. B2B, marketplaces, SaaS, hardware, tech, you name it, whichever works. As long as they're innovative, it's our key, what we're looking for. What if we are a pre-existing business less than 3 years old, but we're looking to use the program to switch from a B2B to B2C model? Event services provider looking to scale into ticketed family events. We have previous sales on our B2B side. We see pivots every year on every cohort. So as long as you explain really well what your solution is and what you're looking to do in terms of growth, you will have a specific question where you'll be able to answer this. So make sure that you explain that you're going through that pivot. because we have seen, again, a little bit of everything, and we are more than happy to help you with that process too. Okay, I'll keep going. Thank you for your information. It's a full detailed portfolio adequate for traction and metrics purposes. Again, I think it goes along with the other question that I answered already in terms of traction. So as long as you prove that you have specific metrics that you measure and you are well aware of your traction, that again, you will have a question that you will be able to answer that, it should be fine.
You need to be incorporated.
Do you need to be incorporated, or can you have traction without that and still apply? So since we provide a $40,000 grant, the selected companies need to sign a grant agreement. That grant agreement is signed with a company, not with the founder. So you need to be incorporated, and that, let me give you a little bit more detail about that. You will need to have a company incorporated either in Puerto Rico or in the US. And if you are incorporated in the US, you need to have the authorization of doing business on the island. That process shouldn't be that long. So you can do that maybe in a week or in 3 weeks. It all depends on the backlog and where you want to incorporate your company. But the company should be incorporated once you are selected to participate in the program. But again, you will have a little bit more than a month in order to get everything in order to start the program. Will be I don't know if this is
Lack of traction.
but I think this is a revision of the other question. But will you be disqualified due to lack of traction? Well, tricky question. Because it all depends on what traction do you have and what kind of proof you can provide. So if let me take the other example about the FDA. That person or that company may not have solid growth in terms of sales and recurring revenue, but it should have traction regarding to getting to that point. So it all depends. If you explain it correctly and we understand that you have valuable traction and growth, you should not be disqualified. But again, it all depends on how well you explain that. Okay, next question from George. We largely a social impact business where returns on investment is reinvested. Do we qualify? Again, we are completely industry agnostic. So everybody qualifies in that term. You have to prove that you are innovative enough and that you stand out from your competition. And you have another question in the application form where you'll be able to answer how do you differentiate yourself from the competition, locally or internationally. So yeah, companies that focus on social impact, we have had some of that too. And yeah, you definitely qualify. Sean, you don't have pro traction on the B2C side. Yeah, but if you have B2B traction, put that information on the application and then mention that you are transitioning to the B2C side. So the more information that you put, the best, because all the people that will be evaluating your application will have a lot more detail on what you're doing. Okay, next question. If the company is not from Puerto Rico, what are the expectations regarding commercial developments in Puerto Rico during the program? So it can be different things. The commitment to the island can work different ways, and it all depends on the strategies of your company. So it could be either hiring people on the island, it could be having commercial development, and I'll explain a little bit more about that, or it can be through the venture side, getting investment from an investor from the island. But in terms of commercial development, we have Parallel 18 Connect. We'll be sitting down with every company that will be participating in the program, doing revision of your strategy, and then we'll make our best efforts to connect you with different key persons of big companies on the island in order to get you some new clients or some traction or partnerships or collaborations. But it all depends on the strategy that you want to pursue on the program. But we have specific people on the team that will be more than happy to get you those connections. How long should applicant business be in existence? You should have 3 years or less of operations. And we are very specific about the operations part, but because it doesn't mean that you need to be 3 years old of incorporation, but you need to be 3 years or less operating and generating revenue, or in operation, not of incorporation. Is
Do you have recommendations on incorporating and set up?
Michael, do you have recommendations on incorporating and setup and structure? Well, we have a list of companies that we will refer that can help you, that can definitely help you with the structure. We have a different option. So if you are selected, we'll be sending you a welcome package, as we call it, and that will have all the information that you need to work on that legal structure. Okay, Georgia. Did you say the company should be registered in the USA once it qualified for the program? To start the program, you have two options. Either register the company in the US. Typically, most of the startups they register as a Delaware C Corp and then get the authorization to do business on the island. Or you can incorporate your company in Puerto Rico. It all depends what you want to do. It all depends if you want to take incentives. It all depends on your strategy or the strategy that you want to follow. But to start the program, in order to sign the grant agreement, you should have either a USA company or a Puerto Rican company.
There are 3 Q&As.
But does the company have to be incorporated in Puerto Rico, or does the... Okay, I think I just answered that same question.
There
So
are 3 questions in the Q&A. I think you answered the first
Okay.
one. Do you have a preference on B2B markets are also welcome? Marketplaces are also welcome. You answered that one already.
Okay,
And I have a learning platform, but I don't have USBs.
Let me read it un poquito out loud. I have a learning platform, but I don't have a US visa. Do you help with some documentation or something for the visa? Great question. Yes, since we're an international program, we are able to provide you, once you are one of the 20 companies that will be participating, we will be able to provide you a letter where it has all the information required for you to get that visa.
But you have to do it on your own.
You have to do all that visa process on your own, but we're obviously more than happy to get you a letter notifying that you were selected, the time frame that you need to be in Puerto Rico to participate, that you have an office space where you can work. So every detail that you need for that visa process, we will be able to give it to you.
I think you
And
already answered.
if the company is not from Puerto Rico, what's the expectation of P18 regarding I think I answered that one already. Perfect.
Do you have more questions?
So I would really recommend for you to go to the frequently asked questions session on the website, because there's a lot more detail there. And if you have any specific questions that we haven't answered, please go to your email and send us an email with your questions at info@parallel18.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer anything for you. We will have more info sessions like this one in the upcoming weeks.
On social media.
Follow us on social media, because we publish every single thing that we do up there. And it could be either Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let us know. Feel free. We're more than happy. We're here in Coupé San Juan. If you're around, you can just let us know if you want to see the space or anything. And yeah, we'll be more than happy to guide you through the process. So I think that's that.
Do you wanna?
See, we're good to go.
Do you wanna go through these questions that have not been answered?
Sure. We have some frequently asked questions that we would like to answer for you. We can use the same mic.
Perfect. So, let's see. So just for our review, what topics are usually covered at this stage of P18? What goals does the operation team have with this 13 generation? What's the mission of this year's program?
So we are really focused on that growth part. So no matter the industry, or everybody should be around the same stage. Pre-seed and seed is what we usually have on the cohort. But our main focus is so the companies can grow and get to the next stage of their companies. Obviously focused too on getting into that new market, and that new market can be either Puerto Rico, or can be growing inside your own country. We will help you in that commercial part of your connections of Puerto Rico. If you talk to anybody that has been through one of our programs, you will see that there's a lot of events going on. We're really close to all the alumni that have been through the program. Um, so we are constantly like growing the community, doing different events, helping each other out. But the main curriculum is completely focused on growth, and we will have sessions regarding marketing, sales, go to market, investment, product. So a little bit of everything. It all depends on the companies that we have on the cohort, because we do take that into consideration too. So we wait until we have the company selected in order to create that the educational part of the program. In that way, we will make sure that all the sessions that we provide are very valuable to all the founders. Alongside with the office hours that you will have available with our mentors and the team. So a little bit of that.
Perfect. So we usually receive a lot of questions regarding the funding. As we previously mentioned, P18 Generation 13 will receive $40,000 in funding. How can startups use this grant?
Good question. So the $40,000 should be used obviously to grow the company in whichever that means for each of you. But then on the terms and conditions, you will see that you can also have founder payroll. You can use that funding for your own payroll. You can use to contract different services. You can use that to invest in your product. You can use that for housing and transportation. There's a part, and you will see on the terms and conditions that it's a very specific amount that you can use for that. But anything that has to do with human resources, operations, and growth of your company will be compliant with the grant money.
Perfect. So we also have a lot of mentors in session. So let's talk about a little bit of this. The mentorship that we offer at P18 is essential for the future of your startups. And a lot of alumni will agree that thanks to those valuable conversations with our mentors, their startups have made a 360 turn, getting more and better results. What can the selected startups expect from the mentor selection for Gen 13?
So as I mentioned, all the mentoring part of the program changes throughout the years because the companies are completely different. So we select mentors that align with the industries and the stage that we have each year. So it will all depend on what we receive. So I think I just covered the topics that we usually have on the program, but again, the specific topics will be changed depending on the company selected. I have two questions here that I wanna address.
Yeah.
When will the grant payments will be issued? Great question. We divide the payments into two. So the $40,000, you will be receiving it $20,000 at the beginning of the program. Once you comply with all the requirements, and that means that you are on the island, that you sign the grant agreement, and that you open a local bank account. I think we didn't mention this one before. But the grant will be deposited in a local bank. We will also have a list of possible bank that you can talk to open that bank account. And so once you comply with that part, we'll submit the disbursement of the first $20,000. And then after the middle part of the program, we will have a midpoint evaluation. In that midpoint evaluation, we will evaluate the growth of the company, the commitment to the program, and very specific details that we will be addressing at the beginning of the program, just to make sure that everybody is growing and is complying with the terms and conditions. After you pass that midpoint evaluation, which we call that you are in good standing, then you will be able to have the remaining part of the grant, which is the other $20,000.
There's another question on the chat about the visa application. Do we give support documents to the responsible embassies?
We can send you a letter to yourself, to the team leader, and then you will be able to make any kind of process that you need in the embassy. The thing is that every country has a different process, so from our end, we're able to provide you a letter, very detailed letter with all the information that you need. If your embassy requires any specific detail, then you let us know, and we can adjust the letter to make sure it complies with the requirements of your embassy. But the process with the embassy per se, it's responsibility of the team leader.
Okay, there's another question about the video. Can we do the videos in Spanish or it has to be in English?
Great question. The application form should be everything in English. All the questions and the video should be in English. If you don't feel comfortable doing the video in English, it should have at least translation, subtitles in English. That way, since we use judges and the selection committee is from Puerto Rico, but we have external people too. We like to make sure that everybody understand your video and your application. That way you can go through the judging process in a easier and a perfect way. So make sure to put it in English. And if you don't feel comfortable, then you put the subtitles.
But it's important to say that the entire program is in English.
A good point, Menchu. The program is completely in English. Since it's an international program, all the mentor sessions, all the meetings, everything will be in English. Obviously, we're in Puerto Rico, all the team speaking Spanish, and you will be probably hearing Spanish in the island if you go around. But the curriculum, since we welcome companies from different parts of the world, and to give you an example, last year we had companies from the US, we had companies from Latin America, we had companies from Europe, we had companies from Poland. So we have to make sure that everybody understands everything that we're saying, and English is the most neutral language and the business language, so we use that.
Perfect. Are there specific target sectors and innovations?
Not really. Again, we're completely agnostic as long as you can define in the question where we ask you to explain a little bit more about your company and your solution. Make sure that you show off in a good way and make sure that you stand out from what every other solution exists out there, and make sure that you put in what kind of innovation do you have, but not specific sector. We are completely agnostic.
And we have another one. We are still incorporating the US company. Could we apply?
Yeah, definitely. The application process does not require you to be already incorporated in the US, but if you're selected in order to start the program, then you'll need to have the documentation ready.
And we have another question in the Q&A. What if your company was formed with one founding member as a sole founder?
Excellent question. We received that question a few times. So if you're a solo founder, it is very important that you have at least a C-level member in your company. Because the reasoning behind this is that we understand that scaling a company is really hard and it's not typically a job for one person. So if you're a solo founder, it is completely fine. We have had that before, but it's important that you have a team to back you up and to help you with the C-level decisions and the growth part of the company. Anything else? Any other questions?
So my advice to you, if you're still working on your application, is that remember that it only takes 5 minutes of your time. So be mindful when completing all the requested information without over explaining. Share your application with someone that doesn't know your business and make sure they get it. If they do, we will also understand it. And another tip for you guys today is to keep an eye on your email. If you pass the first questionnaire, we will send you a message for you to try to complete the next phase of the application process. So mind that your email is correct so that we can receive and send you more information.
Perfect. So I think we are good to go.
Yeah, thank you, Natasha, for sharing all this information. So if anyone else have any other question, please send us an email through info@parallel18.com. But we hope to have answered everything for you today.
Thank you, everybody, and
you.
hopefully we'll see your application soon, and even more, see you in Puerto Rico.
Yes.